Hey, Tys.
How are you, man?
I'm good, buddy.
We've got a bit of a change of location this evening.
We have, haven't we?
We do. We've gone from the luxury lounge room
of my house,
of your abode,
yeah,
surrounded with wall-to-wall DVD shelves and couches and television and
true.
Movie merchandise. It makes us feel
figures and shields and Hulk hands.
We get to feel like we're in the zone. We're talking movies.
Yep.
We've gone to my my ex-housemate's room.
Yep.
Empty room now.
She's just moved out.
She has just moved out.
And I feel like you're doing my taxes.
Yes. There's literally nothing in this room. It is white walls.
With a grey carpeted floor.
A grey, very, very, it's a very sensible carpet.
It is. It's sensible.
That's
what it is.
But we are here and we're going to try and liven up the mood because I could even feel my energy then when I'm thinking about this room.
See,
it went.
That's okay. It's fine.
We're picking it up.
We're going to be fine.
We're going to be so fine.
Exactly.
Hey, Nick, how's your week been, man?
Oh, my week. My week has been fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, I visited my brother and my nephew. It was my nephew's birthday.
That's exciting.
And I actually, hilariously enough, movie related.
Yeah.
My nephew was 9 and he just got into the movie The Sandlot Kids. Do you remember The Sandlot Kids?
Yeah.
So at the end of that movie, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, I still remember.
Benny and the Jet.
Yeah. Remember they hit over the ball. They're trying to get the ball that's that's signed by Babe Ruth.
Okay.
And in order to do that, Benny goes, "Oh, screw it! I'm just going to jump over the fence and grab the ball."
Okay.
In order to do that, though, he puts on the new shoes that he has. They're called PF Flyers.
PF Flyers. They were a big deal.
They're a big deal.
Have you already told this story?
Oh no, have I?
Because you have a pair of them.
No, I gave.
Oh, you gave.
I gave. I'm giving them to. I gave them to my.
Maybe
to my
you
nephew.
just told me.
I'm pretty sure I just told you.
Okay.
I don't think I've said it on this podcast.
Maybe.
Anyway. He's a huge fan, so I gave him, because you can't get PF Flyers in Australia.
That's
so
pretty cool,
bought
man.
Them, I was the cool uncle, bought them from, and then I gave him 2 boxes of s'mores kit. Do you know what a s'more is, Tys?
Yeah, it's a toasted marshmallow.
With chocolate and graham cracker.
Oh.
So you squish it.
Oh, and then you put it in, like, make a sandwich out of it. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Delicious.
Was I the raddest uncle ever?
That's a ticket to being favourite uncle right there.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only uncle.
Oh, well. That's also an advantage, I would say.
How's your week, Tys?
Oh, it was all right, man. Just working, watching movies.
Watching movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a bit of a chatskis about some trailers, man?
Trailers. Talkin Trailers.
Yeah, well,
I know you're just going to juck that in, aren't you?
I am just going to edit in our brand new theme song.
I love our brand new theme song.
And it's going to go right. Everybody's talking trailers. There.
I love it because it ends. I think we should start the next sentence with like we've been singing along with it.
With some clever editing, I think we will just mooge into the end of the wars. What a lyric choice!
I love it.
It's not like a bum bum ba-dum bum. Like you'd think that he's made that choice.
Exactly.
That, you know what? I'm not gonna. The sound I want to make here is wah. Talking trailers.
Oh, I've got a big one this week, Tys.
Yeah, I've got the big one.
The big one.
We're just going to both talk about
Let's talk about that because this is
Justice League landed.
Justice League. The trailer landed.
This is like we had that weird kind of
we had the Comic-Con
sneak
version
peek thing, which gave us a few little bibs and bobs, but nothing substantial. This still really doesn't give us much.
That's true, and that's the thing. Like, I feel that the Comic-Con trailer that came out gave us a lot more. I've actually liked that better as a trailer.
Oh, I liked the Comic-Con one better as well.
Yeah, this one, I could go on, and I will. So it starts off, Tys. Let's pull this apart. It starts off with Bruce on a horse. Now, a trailer. No. I am going to do this. A trailer starts, Tyson.
We're going to beat by beat.
Yeah, exactly. You got. How long is a good trailer for you? 2 minutes.
Yeah, two and a bit.
Two and a bit. Okay, so this goes for 2:45, right?
Yeah, I can pay that.
25 of that minutes is Bruce on this fucking horse.
25 seconds.
25 seconds. Sorry. Yeah. What the hell is the point of that?
No, it's I mean, he is very rich. Even
I don't care.
No, I'm saying surely there's a more cost-efficient and enjoyable way to reach this fishing village than on horseback.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, but it's all for looks, and I think this is is indicative of what we're going to find is one of the main problems with this whole fucking saga of movies. Is that too often it is someone saying, "Oh, it would look cool."
It's
not
concept
and not actually
that we talked about.
Not actually considering the story elements.
But who is the character?
Yeah, who is the character? Bruce Wayne would not get on a horse.
Get on a horse.
Like, I'm sure he's been on a horseman. Some fucking comic geek's gonna.
And you can't tell me that the village is only accessible by horseback. Fuck off.
No,
like seriously,
because it would have been like
go by boat.
Christian Bale, Batman, fucking climbed Tibetan mountains or some shit to find this thing.
Exactly.
Ben Affleck can walk. Like, he could have walked up to that edge of that cliff and it would have looked better.
It would have been fine.
Because then we wouldn't be sitting here going, why is he on a fucking horse? We would have just been like, hey man, Bruce Wayne, fun in the fishing village.
Yeah. And then I hate because it's an intro. This trailer is an intro to Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash. That's the reason for this trailer.
Yes, we just need to see more of them.
More of them, right. So they all have powers-ish. And then Flash turns and says, what are your superpowers? And he says, I'm rich.
Yeah.
In the very cocky vibrato type way. And the first thing that hit me in my face is I have read a lot of comics. I do know, I have an idea of who Bruce Wayne the character is a bit more than clearly the people sitting around this desk saying, oh, he should say this line. He's not Tony Stark.
No, but it sounds like a Tony Stark play.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, he puts on that persona when he's trying to put on the Bruce Wayne persona. But in front of the Flash.
In front of the Flash, he doesn't need to do that.
He doesn't need to do that. And I don't think he'd say that. But, whatever. They're trying to be funny. They're trying to lighten up the mood a little bit, which is whatever.
Sure.
Do whatever you got to do.
Get to the... Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about it a little bit more. So watching this... And because we have this podcast, Tys, I actually watched the first Avengers trailer. The very, very first Avengers trailer that came out and compared it to that because unfortunately I'm going to have to compare it to that because that's the DC version of this, right?
That's fair.
And theirs was 45 seconds shorter and they explained and showed a hell of a lot more in less time.
I remember the one that was the after credits stinger for... what was the last film before Avengers? Was it Captain America?
Yes.
I can't remember now.
Yeah, and it glimpsed into...
And it basically was the trailer, the Avengers trailer.
It showed a couple of shots. That was great. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
That was a better example.
But
this is, whatever, man. It's just... unfortunately, they can't really do anything yet to make me gain any confidence until I see a movie that gives me the confidence.
And in thinking about it, they've instead of following the formula that Marvel has done, bring out a Wonder Woman movie, a Cyborg movie, an Aquaman movie, a Flash movie, they're doing it backwards. They're doing it the other way. Well, not that it's wrong. I'm just saying that we don't know these characters. It reeks of
impatience, though.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Like it
really does.
It's like someone's younger brother going, "Oh, but I can fucking do it too," and and just going for it.
Exactly.
And it's like Marvel earned a lot of. Respect's the wrong word. A lot of our trust by the way they did build into it, and they didn't. Not all of them were fantastic movies, but they took the time to really kind of give us these characters. Yeah. So when they did come together, it actually meant something. Yeah, because we'd spent 2 and a bit hours with each of these characters individually.
Yeah. So you knew
it's the same thing. It's not wrong. It just reeks of impatience and arrogance. I think
arrogance.
This feeling like, oh no, we don't need to do the solo movies. No, we've got this.
We're fine.
And it's like,
we've got Batman, Superman.
You've given us
Wonder
nothing
Woman.
to provide us with any confidence so far.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we don't know your Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
I don't know anything about them. I know nothing about this Superman. Nothing about. I've watched 4 hours and more hours than I should have of movies with him in it. I know nothing about this Superman.
Yeah, exactly. He's just
other than he's just a bit kind of blur.
He's horrid
and always kind of cranky.
He shouldn't be. Oh, this is going to pull a pin.
But
he shouldn't. you have the dark and you have the light. You have the Batman, then you have the Superman. You don't make your Superman dark. You just don't. I could go on, listeners, and I'm sure me and Tyson will get around to. We're going to be doing a superhero segments.
Yeah.
Or not a segment, episodes where we
look at some
talk
absolutely.
through. But that's not what we're going to do now.
No, but this is trailer talk. And so overall, the trailer, we only talked about that first moment. There are a couple of other moments and this is the problem.
Go on.
This is the thing with their trailers. Their trailers aren't terrible.
It's a lot of CG shots.
There's a lot of CG shit. There's more CG than there needs to be.
Exactly.
It all looks the same. It looks like...
just a piece of...
It looks like Batman vs Superman. It looks like Man of Steel. It looks like Wonder Woman. They all just look like the same, and that's fine. They're in the same universe, so they probably should.
Sure.
But that aesthetic to me is kind of worn its welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
But there were some shots that were kind of cool. I think Aquaman fares the best out of this trailer.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he fared the best out of the last trailer as well, where Bruce went to his house. So I'm looking for a man who brings fish and you eat them. My favorite shot out of this whole, which is hilarious. My favorite shot is Aquaman, which was in the last trailer. Aquaman standing there and the waves coming
crashing over him.
How badass does that look? That's badass.
There's a nice moment where he's like withholding a wave or something, and it's
that's true.
Which looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm not on board with Cyborg at all. I think he looks terrible.
I think he looks
he looks like so unbelievably CGI'd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man, it's not that hard anymore. Terminator 1 made Arnold Schwarzenegger look like he was half machine, half person when his face was all fucked up and shit.
And how did they
Terminator
do that?
2, it looks even better. It legitimately looks like half of his body is metal and because it's all his skin's burnt off.
Yeah.
Why are we relying on this CGI that just does not hold up anymore? Put him in the fucking makeup chair. Make him do the 6-hour work.
Exactly.
That's what
you've signed up for. Then do it.
If you're gonna play a character who is half machine, half human.
Yeah.
Just be aware that there's going to be some shit to do.
It's going to be a lot of prosthetics. You're going to have a lot of prosthetics on you, sure.
And because it's worth it. It's not like I just suffer for suffering's sake. Yeah. It is worth it. It looks better. Exactly. It looks so much better.
Do you reckon any actor has complained about getting in the Batsuit? No, you're going to be Batman. Why would you complain?
To be Batman.
And if you are complaining, Val Kilmer, I'm probably looking at
Val Kilmer would have complained.
He would have complained?
Of course he would have
complained. I know that Michael Keaton complained, but Michael Keaton's suit, he literally couldn't see, he couldn't even turn his head.
Yeah, well, that was the first suit. He couldn't do anything. Exactly. I don't think he's been able to turn his head until the Nolan ones.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think there's always been, and it wasn't even, in Batman Begins he couldn't turn his head. It was something like they added in
No, but they did it in the script. You want to be able to turn your head. And then they made it that his cowl was like a helmet.
Yeah. Which, it surprises me that no one thought of that prior to now. In all these movies, it's like, nah, it's fine. He can just do that weird thing where his shoulders turn the same time as his head moves.
Yeah, it's too much CGI. I know it's going to be a lot of CGI, but I don't want that in the trailer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't mind CGI. So the other night, I was showing my housemate a little bit of the end of Batman vs Superman because she'd never heard the Wonder Woman theme. Which I really love.
You've said that before.
I love. And we were. Yeah. So me and all my housemates were like, "Oh, you've got to watch it." So we found the end battle of Batman v Superman on YouTube.
Sure.
And we were watching the parts of that, and it is a CGI fucking fest.
Yeah.
And it is.
There is nothing.
None of it works. No. None of it works. And I was like, because I remember being in the cinema and being like, oh, this is, and like I've said, I haven't seen it since the cinemas because I'm
because you're so pissed off that you don't want to do it. Exactly.
Ugh. Yeah. And but the Doomsday CGI is awful.
Fucking hell.
The way the city looks when they're fighting.
Yeah.
There is no sense of place. There's no sense of stake at all. Like it's like a video game environment.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, man, I don't want these movies to be like this.
They moved it out to the docks, so there was no, we're not going to hurt anyone.
They fucking let you know, too. Like,
so
many
blatantly
fucking
obvious.
awful bits of dialogue where it's, it's past, fucking peak traffic time, so it's pretty much, empty.
Did
and I'm like,
that?
Of course you have to say that. Of course you have to say that.
And I love, you know what I hated? I hated this. The fact that you could stand on top of a building and point at Metropolis and then point at Gotham City. I was like,
Sure.
no. What other place can you do that from ever? Like, you can't do that.
I don't know for certain. Where is... Because Metropolis and Gotham are meant to be representations of two American cities, yeah? Gotham is meant to be like Manhattan, the island, and Metropolis is...
Go on.
The main New York. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't... Well, in the comics that I've read, I know they were fictional.
Like fictional...
Obviously, they're fictional.
Versions of
yeah,
that.
But
that
I
part.
knew that you couldn't just get there by a car. Like,
Really?
It's a bit of a trip.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Alright, so
I always...
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just figured they were kind
pissed me
of...
off.
They were relatively nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's interesting. No, I never thought of that. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that would be annoying then if if they weren't.
Exactly.
God,
Oh.
what was I?
It was awful.
Yeah,
Where's
so
the story? Where's in the trailer? Give me some story.
There is
give,
no,
give,
there is
give me
no story.
something.
So, okay, so here's what
give me
can.
at least the antagonist. For fuck's
This is
sake.
what I can try and establish.
Go on.
Is that the mother box used to create Cyborg?
Which was the box you saw in the trailer. Yep. That was going.
Which has awoken because paratroopers have been sent to get it.
Right.
Leading the paratroopers will be Steppenwolf, the character that we saw in the deleted scene of Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And which is eventually leading to a Darkseid reveal.
They've said that he's not going to be in this.
But there will be a reveal.
Be eventually, yes.
There will be a reveal.
They're pulling out their queen early. They really are.
Oh, because this is another
Pulling
fucking
out their
thing.
queen so early.
It's like they sat in a room and said, "Oh well, Marvel's got Thanos.
We have
What's the closest thing DC has to Thanos? Darkseid. You know?
Come on.
It's like, no, they've kept him in the wings.
Yeah.
No one really gives a fuck about Thanos anymore because he's been so, he's wheeled his way out on his little fucking throne.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and there's other things
there's other great villains.
Massive great villains.
They've jumped straight to the big gun, and they and look, they might prove us all wrong, and there might be someone above that is now the big gun. But
let's hope. But
anyone that knows anything about the DC comic stuff knows that Darkseid is one of the big guns. I don't know who is. I don't know who is more.
Who is underneath him?
No,
or who is above him?
Who's above him?
No one.
No one?
He is the Thanos of DC. Yeah.
But Thanos is there's people above Thanos in Marvel, though. You could probably,
there is
equal kind of power.
You could say Galacticus, but that is a massive person, a being that swallows planets.
Yes.
That's how big he is. Like,
does DC have an equivalent
of Galacticus? Not that's coming to mind straight away. But yeah.
Okay.
How did you feel on the overallness of this trailer, Tyson?
No, I don't care. I'm refusing to make assumptions about these movies based on their trailers anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Are you going to see it?
Yeah, of course. Of course I'm going to fucking see it because I want one of them to be good because I want these characters that I love to be in a movie that I love.
Exactly.
So I'm going to try.
Exactly.
And if it's not, it's like, well, it's another one that's fucked it. And if it is, it's like, finally, great.
Would you like to see them crash and burn?
No.
No.
I really don't want to see that happen.
And this is what I like about you, Tyson. You're not a person, you're not a vindictive person like me.
I don't want them to fail. I want them to succeed. I want these characters that I love to be in good movies.
But I feel like there needs to be a balance, yes? We've had Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher. Tim Burton worked, Joel Schumacher didn't.
Sure.
Nolan, Snyder. Nolan worked, Snyder is not going to work. This is the balance that I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. But they've put in all their money in this one.
Exactly.
This is the one we're getting forever.
Yeah.
So if it crashes
it's not
and
as
burns,
if it's not as if
it's
Tyson,
just always going to suck.
Tyson, it's not as if we're going to turn, like, in 10 years, they're going to do another one. Look how many Spider-Men have come out, Tice. They're just going to keep churning this sucker out because it makes money.
Yeah.
You're going to get another Batman.
So imagine if you're, like, if you were the one person in the universe who felt that Andrew Garfield, those two movies, was the best representation of Spider-Man.
Sure.
Imagine how bummed you would be.
You would be totally bummed.
You'd be distraught.
Bummed. I was bummed a little bit. He wasn't my favourite Spider-Man. I think he was a little too cool to be Spidey.
Yeah, of course.
Because he was
way too cool.
Way too cool with his
fucking hipster skateboarding.
I know, what the hell. But he was all right.
Yeah, I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I don't hate those movies, man.
No.
It goes back to what we were saying before, is that there were two of those and they were responded to relatively okay. The first one, most people thought was pretty good.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't great, but it has promise.
Exactly.
The second one was a misstep. They still made a bunch of money.
Tons.
But they just got buried. We've had three movies now. That legitimately, including Man of Steel.
Oh, Man of Steel, yeah.
That on a critical level, I'm not even talking about like where it's like, but it's got a kind of cult following. Like Man of Steel, people are coming out of the woodwork now saying it's okay, and I'm like,
they?
This is what people are doing, but I don't agree. But that's fine. On a critical consensus, none of these films have done well.
Exactly.
Worse than those Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Money-wise, they've been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't made Marvel money, but they've made some money.
Exactly.
But we're still being fed them.
Yeah. You can't go on box office alone. You can't. You have to listen to what the people want, and that's why, a change of pace or just a massive 180 on what you're trying to do,
They're just persisting though. They're just going, no.
You'll love it.
You'll eventually come around.
And that's why I have a little bit of hope for Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and The Flash. Those movies, I feel, are going to be hopefully.
I have hope for this. I do have hope for this film as well.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not basing it on this trailer at all, because, like, if I had only just seen this trailer and I had not seen anything else, any of the other movies, any of the other trailers, I would think it's pretty fucking badass. Like, really, if you separate all the other things, all the other outside influences, and just took that trailer as it is,
okay,
I think we would be saying it looks great.
If you were to tell me,
but it's because it looks exactly like the other ones, and it's because we know about who's making them, and we know their storytelling elements now, and we know the way they build this universe. And we are not seeing anything different. Yes. Now this trailer is disappointing.
That's true. Had I not seen Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel, I would think this trailer is badass. Exactly. That's true.
Yeah. So we'll, all
right, fair enough.
We'll see what happens in November, man.
At it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Talkin Trailers.
Wow. Wow. Dear. So we should just full disclosure. If we sound boomy and echoey,
full disclosure.
Yeah, we're in an empty room with just four walls and carpet, and we've discovered that
we're a bit echoey
for a recording purposes. That's not ideal.
So if I do this, it's fine. You'll be fine. It's one episode.
Yeah, it's one episode. You can handle it.
You'll be fine.
I'm going to work my my wizardry with my recording program and see what I can do.
He's pretty good, people. I
did happen to edit that Talkin Trailers.
You did. You talked
pretty effectively.
It was pretty good. Came out of nowhere. My wife loved it.
That's it. It was all about the gag. It was all about catching people off guard.
Oh.
Anyway, hey Nick, what did you see this week? What did you watch this week, man?
I watched this week. I watched a few things, but the one that I wanted to talk about was Black Mass, 2015.
Oh, Get Out of Town.
Johnny Depp.
I haven't seen it.
No, I don't think anyone did.
Well, because it had so much buzz. And
did it have buzz?
It had a heap of buzz. People were talking because the trailers looked really good. People were talking like Johnny Depp Oscars, man. Well, and then it came out and everyone was like, "Oh, it's fine," and that was it. And so it faded away.
See, that's the thing. This is when we were, how we've talked before about going into a movie and you're like, "Oh yeah, I have no preconception at all. Just give me a film." Blew me away. Seriously.
Great.
Johnny Depp, like, it's not perfect. The film, if you look at it as a whole, isn't great. There's some holes, sure. But Johnny Depp, Joel Edgerton,
I've heard he's really good in it.
Seriously, the man is awesome. And because of their stellar performances, it keeps you watching. So to tell you a little bit about it, it's a crime movie. set in Boston in the late 70s. Boston. And everyone loves a Boston accent.
Oh, fucking I love Boston accents.
A Boston
Seriously,
accent.
I think they're the best.
Hey, how you doing, Bob? But how good was that? Was that a good Boston? Anyway. But yeah, it goes from the 70s to the mid-80s. And Johnny Depp plays Whitey Bulger, a crime boss. And
what a name. Great name.
Whitey Bulger, yeah. And the makeup that they have done on Johnny Depp, just looking at him, they only do a couple of shots where he's not looking into the camera, but enough that you can see... You see his eyes because he's got contacts in.
Yeah, he's got really bizarre light eyes, like really light blue eyes or something going on.
Off-putting. Like Johnny Depp is scary in this movie. He's really scary.
I really liked the trailer. I think it was the second trailer for it, which was just the scene of him at a dinner table, threatening
with his son,
somebody.
Oh yeah.
And it was and like for a trailer to have the balls to just show
a scene,
like basically 40 seconds of a scene, and just let Johnny Depp do his thing. I was like, man, that's taking guts.
Exactly.
But also it worked. Like it got me. I was really keen to see it. Unfortunately, the reviews weren't super and kind of
Tys.
It was not so much that. I would watch it. I would definitely still watch it. Sure. I just didn't have that same kind of like drive that I have to go see. Oh my God, I have to
see that. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything more about the plot. I liked it. It was 2 hours long. Like, it wasn't a huge slog, and it was just interesting. Crime and who's fucking over who and who's got who and sort of thing. And it wasn't as violent as Goodfellas. It was in the same vein as Goodfellas, obviously. Sure. There were a few scenes where I was like, oh, guys, that's kind of obvious that you've ripped off
either
Goodfellas or Departed.
Well, if you're going to do it...
Oh, yeah, hey.
Might as well rip off from the best.
Exactly. But yeah, it was awesome. I liked Black Mass. Yeah, that was cool. Who directed?
Yeah.
Scott Cooper. Now, Scott Cooper hasn't...
No, I like Scott Cooper.
You like Scott Cooper?
Yeah, I loved Crazy Heart. I thought it was...
Oh, I liked Crazy Heart too.
I thought that was great.
I really liked Crazy Heart.
What else has he done?
That's directing-wise, that's really about it.
I haven't seen Out of the Furnace.
He's done 4 films, and Crazy Heart was his first.
Crazy Heart was beautiful.
But yeah, I really liked Crazy Heart. And it's what got... Jeff Bridges,
he won the Oscar for that. That was the beginning of his
it was, wasn't
acting style.
It really was.
Where he just embraced it.
But yeah, Scott Cooper. He's more of an actor, but hey, he can
do whatever he wants.
He can direct, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll come back around on that one and check it out. Because I think it's on Stan or Netflix or something, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we watched it on. I believe it was Netflix. I'm going to say Flix?
Question mark?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about... How many do you want to talk about today? Just the one?
No, I'm just going to do the one. But
all right.
Oh, God. Let's start that again. By all means, do two.
Okay. I'm going to do a couple quick.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to talk on one.
All right.
I'll talk about one for a little bit longer.
Sure.
Last night...
You watched a few, did you, Tys?
Yeah, I did. I've had a good week.
Good.
Last night I watched Teen Wolf. Because I realised I had not seen that since I was like...
Oh, really?
I think early teenager was the last time I saw that, because I was kind of thinking, this will be like a first time experience.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, so much of it was coming back to me. It was really kind of great, but it still had like a lot of surprise elements to me, which I had a good time with it. Yeah. I think it still works. I think it still works as fun.
Yeah.
There's barely a plot.
Oh, exactly. No, there's no point for a plot.
It's just kind of like...
Yeah.
He discovers he's a wolf.
Yep.
He
has
wolf shenanigans for about 40 minutes, and then thinks maybe I shouldn't be a wolf. Exactly. And that's the movie.
And maybe I'm better without the wolf. It's about being yourself.
That's fine.
It was
I get that, and look, they at least they try to do something. But there's nary a plot to be found. Right. But look, I mean, I had a few good giggles. I think Styles is funny.
How good is Styles?
He does some really he makes me laugh a lot. The coach made me laugh a lot.
How good is the coach?
Is great. His dad, I think, is beautiful.
How beautiful is that dad? I love this movie.
Yeah, and Boof.
How good is Boof?
is great. And I was
Do you
trying
like
to think
Boof?
back when we talked about it.
Yeah.
I
We
think-
didn't mention Boof.
We didn't mention Boof?
No.
Okay, cool. Because in my head, I was certain that it was Justine Bateman
Oh,
that
really?
played Boof.
No.
And it's not.
No, it's not.
But it looks a fuck ton like her.
Fuck ton.
I actually, and in my, she
our-
wears an outfit.
For our American fans, please use fuck ton a lot.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah. She uses what?
There's a bit where she's in an outfit that I could have sworn was in my head. I imagined Justine Bateman wearing that exact same
How
outfit.
good is Justine Bateman? Though?
Yeah, great. But that was kind of weird.
But
Where
yeah.
I was like, God, in my head, I honestly believed it was a different actress.
How good was the transformation, Tys? Like quick cuts and
Yeah, look, there was some nice stuff going on there. I thought some nice makeup, some nice.
That scene used to scare the shit out of me.
Oh,
when I was
fair
a kid.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's all the under the eyes makeup and the weird,
And I was very excited to show my girlfriend the bit where the guy at the end has his
eyes
junk
just
out.
fly down. Yeah, everyone gets that. It's not.
I was like, see that guy? See that guy? He's got his dick out.
Teen Wolf is better than just a dick out. Come on, come on.
But that kind of shit makes me laugh. Where I'm like, good on that dude, man. 'Cause
Seriously, his dick isn't out for starters. His fly is down. And
yeah,
that's
but he
it.
does like
He does it up while the camera's
he does
going.
like a
Yeah.
fun kind of like he covers it up with his jumper,
Yeah.
and he's wearing like what appear to be like flesh colored jocks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's out, maybe it's not. But like 10 points to that guy, because that is like for eternity, forever.
Yeah.
He's the
Everyone
guy
knows.
in the background of that final shot,
Yeah.
which actually kind of, it's one of those, you know, when you watch a movie and it has a certain, like the frame rate or the quality, everything looks normal, and then the last shot looks like it's from a completely different movie. It looks like they've changed lenses and changed film type, film stock and stuff like that.
Yep.
This is one of those ones. So I actually think they've fucked with the frame rate to pull it out a little bit more. They've fucked with the aspect ratio and pulled it out.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was ever in shot.
No, I don't think he was.
And then
they
they've gone,
didn't
well, we want a
realise.
wider, so we're going to take this shot that we filmed in close and actually bring it out a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it actually works. Technically, that might actually be physically impossible.
Yeah.
But it just, it looks, even the film at that point looks kind of off. Looks like it doesn't belong there. But yeah, it was a fun movie. Had a good giggle. Well, anyway, in the one of the other ones, I'll just talk about one more. I watched a documentary called Video Nasties. This was on SBS On Demand.
Yeah.
For those of you who are interested. They've got a nice little selection of movie-related documentaries at the moment, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched. It's a 2010 British film called Video Nasties: Moral Panic, Censorship, and Videotape.
Ooh.
Now, the Video Nasties concept were the 70 or so videos that were banned.
Oh, that were banned. That's
by the
right.
British Censorship Board during the 80s.
Sure.
And these are some titles that are pretty common knowledge, like The Evil Dead and Cannibal Holocaust.
Yep.
I think I was about to say Cannibal Hanukkah. Then I'm like, that's a different movie.
I'm all for that.
That would be a fucking amazing movie. And then a whole bunch of pretty, like a couple of kind of next level ones, like Toby Hooper's The Funhouse is on there, which is kind of, some people would know it, but then there's shit that I just never heard of and I'll never see.
Yeah. A lot of trauma. Was it a lot of trauma?
No, none of that kind of trauma. No. I don't think they were around for this just yet. I think that was a little bit later.
Yep.
It's a really interesting concept. I don't think the documentary is particularly enjoyable. It's very much just talking heads and the occasional kind of clip of maybe some news footage and some of the films themselves.
Okay.
Not that I need to see more of the films themselves because, that kind of, I don't want that ruined, I guess, if I ever do kind of come around to seeing these films. But as a documentary, it was pretty dry. Considering the topic, I thought it would be a bit kind of more... it would feel a bit more punk rock kind of as a documentary.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
These, the whole concept of the documentary was to kind of shout out against censorship, I guess, and kind of expose this weird time in history where people couldn't get a movie out. Like it's a movie. It's a movie. Like it's a movie.
Yeah.
It just so happens to have like blood and guts and stuff in it. And there were people telling you, no, you were going to go to jail for selling this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a fucked up idea.
Ridiculous.
And I don't think they really kind of got to the heart and soul of that and how fucked that really is.
Yeah.
and they didn't even really kind of come out as a strong advocate for them either.
No.
Which
did they do the side of, because obviously when you ban something, which happens, anything, music, video games, movies, whatever, if you ban it, people will go after it like no tomorrow.
They did mention that it kind of
something
that basically gave a shopping list to people because you could actually find the video nasties list.
Yeah.
And so if you knew what the list was, clearly you're going to walk around with it and go, oh, that's on the list. Let's get it quick before
grab that. Yeah, exactly.
But it's kind of fun that I've seen. I haven't seen many of them. I've seen Evil Dead.
Yeah, is that it?
I think that's probably all that I've seen that's on the list. Maybe
I need to know the list now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of them looked kind of fun as well. They looked like they would be the kind of thing that you would put on at a party, and it would be a really fun kind of time.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of them look pretty. Some of them look pretty fucked up, but I'm sure there's going to be kind of a lot of fun with them.
I don't know the timeline of John Waters, but any John Waters movies? No,
I don't think so.
Okay,
no, I think it was a little.
I don't know my timeline.
He might have been doing something, but there wasn't like pink flamingos, or anything like that, and that's kind of as fucked up as he gets, I guess, isn't it?
It really does.
Yeah. So, no, you're talking more kind of grindhousey horror and stuff like that. So stuff that, and like maybe there was some Italian horror and things like that in there.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch if you are interested in that kind of stuff. It's a good little history lesson for a period of time that we might take for granted.
Yeah.
It pays a little bit of kind of. It shouts out a little bit to the idea of the old video store, which I love. There's a documentary called Rewind This, which is all about the VHS kind of era and the resurgence that has happened through hipsters being fucking hipsters. Which I'm not hugely against. I actually there's a certain nostalgic value to watching a VHS that I quite like.
Yeah, man.
I acknowledge that the quality's not as good. It's actually
it adds to it.
It does. It adds to certain things. I remember
the fact that we want, like, you can get an app where it plays that 80s bad flicker like that. You've rewound the movie too much
into it.
Yeah, that is now an effect, and if people want that,
that's it. It's just, and I mean, it's obviously, I love just going back to when I was young and just doing things like, watching something that I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And for me, part of that element is watching it the same way I watched it as a kid. There's something weird about watching.
Nice.
There's something weird about watching. For instance, this, like what we talked about last week, good old Captain Power.
Captain Power, yeah.
Yeah, there'd be something really weird.
You got to say the full title.
And the Soldiers of the Future.
Yes!
If there'd be something really weird about watching that on a Blu-ray,
that's ridiculous.
It would feel really strange to me.
Exactly.
I want the clamshell VHS box.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to fast forward through the coming attractions, or
just watch them.
watch them if they were really cool.
Please
I can't remember.
Them. Always watch them. So kids don't have coming attractions
the tracking
like that anymore.
Moments in it to flutter, because it's bringing back a sensory kind of reaction to my memories. Yeah. I think maybe knowing that these movies were released at a time when they were banned on VHS, I kind of want to watch them on VHS.
On VHS,
yeah, regardless of the fact that it might not be the greatest picture quality, but I think it captures a certain moment that is kind of important to me and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
So it's worth a watch if you give a fuck about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've looked up the list while you were talking.
You've got the actual list.
The only other thing that I've seen that you said was I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh no, I have seen I Spit on Your Grave. They did mention that, of course.
And Last House on the Left.
Oh, I have not seen Last House on the Left. I've seen the remake.
You've seen the remake, yeah. Last House on the Left, I believe, is...
It's Wes Craven.
Wes Craven, yeah. That's the reason I've seen it. Huge Wes Craven fan.
Yeah, he's the man.
He was the man.
Oh, bless. Rest in peace.
All right,
man. Well, we're going to move on to our feature
presentation.
Yes.
That was horrible. Cut that out.
I'm not sure what that was.
Please cut it out. You're not going to cut it out. I know.
Maybe.
And now for our feature presentation.
Okay.
Alrighty.
The craft.
Yeah, we are talking about the craft.
The craft.
Now, Nick.
Tys,
I'm very excited to be talking about The Craft.
You are.
You sent me a message
I did.
yesterday.
As soon as I saw it.
Well, yesterday or the day before?
I watched it. And I went,
you were a little worried about talking about this
Tyson,
one.
Do we have a lot to talk about here? I think. Well, why did you want to talk about The Craft?
All right,
Tyson?
so
you
okay.
start us off.
The Craft might be, if I had to kind of put a label on them,
Oh, go on.
could be one of the like top 5 movies that I watched the most in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think as a 14 to 17 year old,
Yep.
I probably watched this movie 150 times.
Same.
So
It is up there. It's the same with me. Like this, Empire Records
is definitely up there.
Dazed to Confused, even though it's a movie set in the 70s, but it came out of the 90s. So
That's not one of mine.
That's not one of yours? What else?
Scream.
Scream? Yeah. Okay.
I saw a shit ton.
Shit
I'm getting the lingo up tonight.
There's other ones, but yes, I agreed. Like, it is a quintessential 90s film.
It is, and watching it now,
does it hold up, Tyson?
Look, I actually had a really good time watching this.
Did you really?
Yeah, I watched it today. Oh, it's really fresh for me.
Oh, what?
I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
And I had a really good time. I was
Okay.
worried about it. I kind of thought, oh God, I hope it's still as much fun as I remember, because it has been a while since I've seen it.
I think it's because when it holds, like you said, that certain 14 to 16 time period for me when I was that age, 14 to 16.
Yeah.
And, it was always one of my 5 weeklies for $5.
Oh, yeah, this is exactly.
It
That's
was
where it would
always
happen,
one of that. I'd always watch it with my friend Dave. We always loved it, and I just didn't want to ruin, because I know that maybe there wasn't much to it. I didn't want to ruin that for myself. I kind of wanted The Craft in the, but I guess
to keep it just as this,
Do you know
as
what I
this,
mean?
as this fun movie
Yep.
that was really important to you, and not have
Yep.
to try and look any deeper because it might turn out to be completely
that
hollow.
is exactly what
I had similar feelings.
Okay.
I don't think it's hollow at all, though.
You don't think it's hollow?
I think
I'm not saying it's
got
hollow.
a
There
lot
are
going
some-
on.
Okay.
Maybe not a lot, but I think it has more than some.
Yep.
It came at a time where it was. It started a craze of kind of
it did, didn't it?
witchcraft related things that you still kind of pops up every now and then.
Yeah.
There was the male kind of version called The Covenant that came out.
I remember that.
Oh, it's probably 10 years now. Actually,
Yeah, The
Probably,
Covenant.
It was.
I never watched it.
I've seen it a couple of times. It's a
Oh,
Rennie Harlan
Jesus
movie.
Christ.
who
Rennie.
I really like Rennie Harlan.
Rennie Harlan. Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Dream. Fuck.
The Dream Master.
Dream. Yes.
Child is 5.
Child
Dream
is
Master
5 is 4.
and Dream Warriors.
And Dream Warriors 3.
3.
My favorite Dream Warriors.
Look, Cliffhanger though, and
go on.
Long Kiss Goodnight are probably the
Long Kiss,
ones
yeah.
that people
Long Kiss.
would have seen more.
Yeah, totally.
And Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
Good on Rennie Harlan.
Yeah.
So Covenant's not terrible. It's pretty. It's funny. Like it's pretty trashy,
Yeah.
but it's.
And that's the thing. I think
fun.
I came into The Craft a little bit more thinking, oh yeah, there'll be a little bit of guts to this. I think it hits some notes that I like, but I think I was looking a little bit too deep into something that is quintessentially a teen film. So
it's funny.
They don't go into. There's not a lot of depth. I'm not saying to characters.
No.
There are some to characters. I'm not saying to the film. The film
No,
itself.
fair enough. And look, I think it's a metaphor for whatever issue of the week you want it to be. I think it's
exactly.
it can serve as a metaphor for female adolescence. It can serve as a metaphor of drug abuse. It can serve as a metaphor of
Getting bullied
sexuality,
in high school.
bullying. It can be any of those.
Yeah.
And you kind of just pick your poison, really, in that sense. And I
that's
think
true.
it does, like, just because it is covering a wide range of teenage topics, I don't think it's it should be kind of dismissed because it doesn't have a real clear sense.
Yep.
I mean, the filmmakers, I believe, when I was watching like the DVD special features, the writer kind of felt like it was
that you have this on DVD.
I own this on
Is
DVD.
there an audio commentary?
There is an audio
Oh,
commentary.
really?
I have not listened to it.
Awesome.
I'm excited to listen to it.
Okay.
No, the writer kind of expressed that he felt that it was mostly an allegory of female sexuality.
Right.
So,
Okay.
which I don't 100%
See?
follow,
Mm.
because I think there are elements to it there, definitely. But for me, I see it. The one that I saw the strongest was the female empowerment, which
Yeah.
may be a little kind of obvious because they literally are females who find power.
Powers.
But,
yeah.
you know, more than that, it's about them finding their own power in themselves as
Sure.
opposed to the borrowed power of the witchcraft.
yeah.
So, you know,
Fair deal.
but yeah, I think a lot of this works pretty well. It looks super 90s, but in that slick kind of...
It looked good.
In that
It looked
slick
alright.
kind of the Scream, I Know What You Did
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
Summer, like that aesthetic that was super...
Urban legend.
Urban legend.
Disturbing
It's
behaviour.
the New Line Cinema. Like, you
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
expect to have seen the New Line Cinema logo beforehand. That really slick
true.
90s look about it, which I you know, still I think is comforting to me
strikes a
in
note,
a way,
yeah.
like, because it's just, you see that and you're like, oh, I'm at home in these kind of films,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that I think I've seen more than anything else is
Mm.
that era, like probably the 5 years between 1995 to 2000, I would
Yeah.
say.
So many movies.
So many movies that I've seen so many times.
Yeah.
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 Hey, the soundtrack though. The soundtrack is fucking great.
Well, this is because so grunge I did a little bit of homework. Grunge had died by this point, but of course, you're
Died is a big. That's a big statement, but
really?
yeah, 95, 96.
No.
We're still not. We're not 100%
Well,
at the death yet.
No, that's because
Still got some good albums coming
No,
out.
oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that no, grunge in what started out as grunge, the bands that started out
Yes.
as grunge, Nevermind ended. Well, in the homework that I've done, when
Sure.
Nevermind came out, which was 91, grunge had died by that point. What happens then is that grunge became this cookie cutter. If you hear that, that's Tys just blowing his nose.
I can't hear it.
Fair enough. This cookie cutter, it became popular. Grunge became everyone wearing,
What the
flannels
original
behind-
plan
under
behind
things.
grunge was,
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
But yes, I do actually agree with you. When I was watching the movie and hearing the soundtrack, I was like, this is awesome.
yeah, I
This
have
is
that
so
soundtrack.
awesome.
I definitely have
How
that
good is
soundtrack.
this?
Yeah, I love it. Some really great bands doing some pretty cool covers as well. Some good
Yeah.
80s tunes.
It was really cool.
Bands that, some bands that we just unfortunately won't hear of again.
Yeah.
But, then you've got your Stone Temple Pilots
Yeah.
kind of coming through with
It
some
was
good
so
stuff.
good.
But I think super effective. The one that I love the most, I love the cover of the Smiths' How Soon Is Now.
Yes.
Done by Love Spit Love.
Love Spit Love.
A band I have never heard of since or before. But they do a pretty
were very-
killer cover of this because I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this cover a lot. I'm a big fan of the Smiths, like I'm, huge fan.
Yep.
But that's a great cover, and it was the theme song to Charmed as well.
Yeah, I read
so
that.
it had
I was
had
like,
its kind of
"Oh."
life. This soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I think it complements it very well because it's one of those 90s soundtracks that I think would still hold up pretty decently.
It's not
I
too
give it a
bad.
listen every now and then.
Oh, wow.
Compared to some other like 90s film
Oh.
soundtracks that are
Well,
tough to listen to
Exactly.
now.
You think Empire Records would have a soundtrack that is just killer, but if you got the Empire Records soundtrack,
I have the Empire Records soundtrack.
there was nothing from that movie on that soundtrack.
It was all...
It was
because
awful,
it's that
apart from
bullshit
one
when it's
song.
the music inspired by...
Yeah.
When it's not
Who
really...
the fuck wants that?
No,
Who wants that?
it's the random indie bands of the day doing just kind of
piss off.
unoriginal songs.
Whereas Days to Confuse soundtrack, I have run that into the ground.
I would imagine so. But
Amazing.
yeah, I really dig this soundtrack. I think it sets a really good mood. The score itself is pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
it's it's not super memorable, but the
was
way
alright.
they use the songs I think is super effective.
Yeah.
Did you like anything, Nick, or do you find that there's not really much to like?
Did I like anything? We're going to go likes first. Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Things that worked.
You can talk about your dislikes first.
No, I'm not going to talk about my dislikes
Okay.
first because I don't want to bag. This movie holds a beautiful place in my heart
Sure.
where, going through puberty and just being at the video store and, me and my friends and down at the beach and it was awesome, So I don't want to bag out this movie too much because
Sure.
I love it. I do love
Absolutely.
it. What stood out for me? Well, I am a massive Fairuza Balk fan because of Return to Oz.
I see that.
And she brought her A game to this movie. She really did.
She is the best on ground,
was
definitely.
Nuts.
She is fantastic.
She was
in this
amazing.
film.
Like and that just the way the movie ends with her in a mental asylum. I'm going to spoil it for you because if you haven't seen The Craft, then
We're spoiling a 21-year-old movie, guys.
Exactly. Sorry. It's been past there. Should we give, like, when we're doing this, should we give, like, a movie a year, 2 years before we spoil things?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's that. So, yeah, it ends with her in a mental institution, and she's it's awesome. She's so good.
She's
so good.
She's doing really great work in this.
Yeah.
She's got this really great, and look, as she gets crazy.
Yep.
Like it might be a little kind of cliched crazy.
Oh, sure.
But she has
she
such a
sells it
great
well.
energy behind it that it's super convincing to me.
Yeah.
My favorite scenes with her are the ones quite early where she doesn't actually say much.
Yeah.
I think it's some of the best stuff she's doing because she's got this just crazy intensity in her eyes.
Yeah.
And yeah,
moody
like
teenager,
moody
who's
teenage
just
angst,
the leader, and just
but is so charming though.
exactly,
and
so good.
It's it's effective because you worry that they maybe you watch a movie like this and your first question is, well, why do these people hang out with her? She's clearly crazy.
Yeah.
But they make it very clear that she is super charismatic.
Yeah.
And it affects...
She's friendly underneath.
Yeah,
You just have to get past that outer shell.
She's able to kind of, not manipulate them, but like she's able to kind of be... You aspire to be like her, and you can see why they would because she is so confident.
Natural leader.
A natural leader of these girls.
Yeah.
And as she gets more and more crazy,
She's awesome.
she does some really, really great stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
And just like my favourite scenes, if we're going to jump to this part, I'll kind of jump all over the place.
Jump wherever you like.
Yeah, my favourite scenes is seeing, like, you kind of it's about midway through the movie and then you're all of a sudden realising... why is she like this? Like, what's going on?
Sure.
Why is she so... I think it's when she asks for all the power of Manon. And you go back and see her home life and you realise that these girls who come to school have it fine. They're living in 2-story houses that... what's her name? Sarah's house. I would die for that house. Oh my God.
I made special mention about that. It is a great set. Well,
like even stands up today. Like that house is awesome.
Well, so the front is a real house, the face of it.
Uh-huh.
The interior is a set.
Oh, is it?
I think it's really great.
Oh,
because
beautiful.
It's such an evocative space.
Yeah.
It's just got like it feels. Like it's obviously designed purposefully to feel that way, but it has kind of like this gothic feel that when you do kind of things like light the candles in it or turn out the lights in it, it starts to feel kind of supernatural itself. And I think that's like it's a great little space to be to have at your disposal.
Especially
for a movie like
her
this.
bedroom with the windows, kind of looking out under the thing, and the archway of the
it's because of all the archways and because of all the steel kind of staircase balustrades and stuff. Like it's all very windy and it's wonderful. Really nice design.
But yeah, going back to Fairuza Balk's home life, like those, like, she plays that well. Those scenes are hard, like almost not
and
hard to watch.
I think because they kind of
they do it well.
There's a nice little interlude where that's actually preceded by the other two as well. When you get to kind of because we hadn't had scenes yet of them by themselves.
Yeah,
I find Neve Campbell's the most hard to watch. I think I think she plays that really well when she goes in to get the skin treatment. And it's clearly a very invasive procedure. It's very painful, and Neve Campbell is great in this film as well. She does some really, really great work, I think. And I've always been a Neve Campbell fan.
Really?
I think, I really have.
You're a Scream sucker, aren't you?
I'm a sucker for Scream. 3 to Tango.
3 to Tango.
I love her in that. It's a bit of a celeb crush
Wild
kind
Things,
of thing.
Tys? Are you going to watch Wild Things?
And that's the thing. I was never really a huge Wild Things fan.
Okay.
Anyway, that one actually I found to be the most kind of affecting.
Yeah.
But it was nice that they took a moment to kind of show each of the three girls separately to show that, look, it's because it's a bit cliche. Everyone's fucked up, man. Everyone's got their problems. But it was nice because they were realistic kind of problems.
Yeah.
Fruza Balk's, her character Nancy, hers probably the most cliched of the three, that she's got the trailer trash mum and the abusive stepdad or whatever.
Yeah.
It's your cookie cutter troubled girls kind of one.
Well, they did it well though.
I think they did it well because it didn't feel comical or cartoonish. The level of it. It was, he was obviously just a scumbag. She's an interesting character, her mother.
Yeah. She wasn't she?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were trying to do with a character like that, because
I think they just did at the end of it, the crux of it is that she's a woman that's having dealt this card in life, and then when she does get the money, realize that she doesn't have any friends.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I do really like the scene where the stepdad dies and they find out about the money.
Good scene.
I think they're both doing really good work. Fruza Balk, they have this moment where he's the insurance salesman is kind of looking through his suitcase.
Like new at the job. Yeah.
But they give each other a look like this fucking guy. It's a real funny kind of what's his fucking problem? He can't even fucking open his suitcase.
What is he doing? Yeah.
And they even though they are like Scumsville, these two, they can still look at a guy like that and be like, what a doofus.
Dude, get your shit together. Come on.
And I love their reaction to finding out that they've got a whole bunch of money now. I think it's so funny how they're sitting there in black. They've both got the cigarettes. They've just been at the funeral. And it's just like, they don't give a fuck. They're just like, look at this money.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah, it's really,
I love it.
It's really great. And it was actually a nice little lighter moment in the film, because there aren't really many light moments in the film.
No.
We don't really get the opportunity to laugh with these characters very much.
No.
I really like the sleepover, light as a feather, stiff as a board scene. I think there's some moments of funniness there.
That was good.
And you get to see them
even doing the hair, the spells on the hair.
And
Nancy
which
turns
at that
around
point,
and goes, how about a smaller ass?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
There's funny stuff, yeah. At that point, because I think when we're getting later into the film and we're starting to see Nancy's kind of corruption, those scenes are played a little bit more, not ironically, but in a sense that there's a certain foreboding nature underneath it.
Yeah.
So even though they are having a good time, that Nancy's kind of could snap at any minute. So it's like you can feel the eggshells a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas the earlier montage, I think, is the first time when they're truly kind of, they feel like they're friends. And there's that little bit where they watch the Bewitched film and stuff. And I think that's, that's the TV series. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you get to kind of feel.
I think that was kind of hokey.
It's funny, because at the same, I was thinking about it when I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is a bit trashy. And then I was like, but you know what this movie hasn't done and has finally taken a second to do is reminding us that they're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's Mean Girls.
It's effective because I think up until, because we're so used to watching films about teenagers knowing that the people starring them are in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they are in school kind of just becomes perfunctory to the story. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. But that was a moment that actually gave us the opportunity to say, oh wow, they are really young. They're still really naive.
Yeah.
They are dealing with power that is beyond their abilities and their maturity.
Yeah.
And it gives us the idea that we now can see what's going to happen. Yeah. We can see that it's like, wow, this is going to go bad.
Okay, so the reason I'm gonna cross streams with you here.
Sure, man.
Enough. The reason that didn't work for me is because straight off the bat in the movie, they deal with some serious issues.
Sure.
And I've got them written down somewhere. If only I could see them. Dealing with massive themes. 15 minutes into this movie, I clocked it. I was like, wow. They mentioned sexually transmitted diseases, suicide, and then you get Rachel's... Rachel? Is her name Rachel in the movie? Ooh. Rochelle. Sorry, the actress's name is Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel, true.
Deals with her racial discrimination.
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
Yeah, well,
You know, and that's why it kind of really didn't play out for me. The fact that not only are these girls dealing with this stuff, but also drinking, smoking, having sex, clearly.
yeah.
And
Well, I think, I can see where you're coming
do you know
from
what I mean?
with that.
So the Bewitched
But,
thing didn't really land.
every
for me.
now and then, though, like, I think, I mean, if I think back to myself at 17,
Yeah.
I was definitely aware of all those things.
Yeah.
And, I would have conversations based around those things. But at the same time, I would
You
then
weren't.
also
Yeah.
I would watch...
Brady Bunch.
No, I'm trying to think of an equivalent because it's they're watching it to take the piss out of it and have it fun.
Yeah,
so if I had
that's
a
true.
sleepover with some of my mates, we'd watch
Gladiators.
Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'd have a good giggle and laugh around.
Yeah.
And then maybe
I'll
10
say-
seconds later talk about someone
Something serious.
hooking up with a girl
Yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe getting her
Oh,
pregnant.
okay. So you think they're watching it ironically? Is that what you think?
they're definitely watching that ironically. But I'm
okay.
saying it's more out of the fun. It's a fun bonding experience for them that reminds us that they are young girls.
Oh, okay.
It could have been any kind of witchcraft based thing because they're just kind of taking the piss out of
That's
it.
true.
If this movie was made now, it would be Charmed.
Charmed.
They'd be watching Charmed.
That's true.
Yeah,
Charmed.
good old Charmed.
Good old Charmed.
Is there anything you didn't like
Things that didn't
that
work
you
for
want
me.
to kind of throw out there?
There were a little... not really substantial things. The things that didn't really work for me was the middle section of the movie where it was... There was a shot... One thing that I do, if a movie isn't working for me, I don't pick it apart while I'm watching it.
Sure.
I don't like to do that.
Oh, that's fine.
But sometimes it'll come up because I can't help myself.
Yeah.
And it'll be a scene. A scene will start and then it will end, and I'll go, well, what was the point of that scene?
Okay, fair call.
You know, I'll go, what is the drive behind showing us, the audience, what just happened?
Sure.
And there was a shot where they were at high school. They're all sitting around in their cafeteria or whatever, and they're all talking. There's music playing over because it's a montage. And then they open a book that has witchcraft in it and point to it, and that's it. Like the scene ends, and I'm like, what was the point of that, guys? Come on. We can do something better with our time.
Is this part of the montage that contains the slow-mo
Slow-mo
walk through the
yeah.
through
That's
the
the
thing?
other thing that I had a problem with.
That is clearly... That is an iconic shot, though.
That is a iconic,
when people think of this movie, I think a lot of people think of the slow-mo walk through the thing.
Yeah.
It serves no purpose other than... I think it is juxtaposed pretty well against how they originally walked through that scene, where they were very
kept themselves up to the
they
back.
were dressed. Yeah, they were sitting in the back. They were all dressed very,
well, it was to show that things are working out. I'm kind of contradicting myself here because I know what it's for.
No, but it's there for a clear purpose, but it is a bit naff, and it does go on a little bit while, and it does feel a little exploitive.
It does. Doesn't
I think what ends up happening with this film as well is that the more I when I watch a scene like that, which is basically just a slow-mo strut of 4 good-looking young girls.
Yeah.
I see the purpose behind it, but then at the same time, when I see it's written and directed by a guy, I'm kind of like,
let's have some girls in high school uniforms.
And so you're given the benefit of the doubt, I guess, because there is a purpose there to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it
school.
lingers a bit. The camera feels a little leering.
Yeah. It's a high school fetish.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting the guy audience in as well as the girls. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that because this is probably the least flattering representation of high school boys I think I've seen for a very long time.
That's true.
They are awful human beings.
That's the
and
one.
They make no apologies for them whatsoever.
No, he was a prick. He was.
Well, Breckenmeyer has possibly the most disgusting. When he says,
what does he do?
the one that really stuck out to me is when he says, "What did that snail trail say about me?" It's really foul, and it's
I
also
did not pick that up.
It gets to it really gets to that kind of. I don't know. It's like
men are discussing. Yeah, it's good. I think it's good that they had Breckenmeyer and
Skeet Ulrich. Ulrich. Yeah.
Ulrich?
Okay.
Yeah. I think they did well.
And the other guy that I don't. No one gives a fuck about.
Yeah. I think they did good because not all high school guys are. What is his name from She's All That?
Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze. Not every high school guy is Freddie Prinze. Do you know what I mean? There are pricks out there, and it was. I think it was refreshing to see.
They do not pull their punches with this because they are awful. The interaction after Sarah has said, "No, I don't want to go back to your house," and he's basically told everyone in school that they shagged anyway and that she was awful.
Yep.
Like they really. They write these guys really cleverly because they make sure that all their insults and everything they do to them is designed to depower them.
Yeah.
Because they're not. It's not just like you're an awful person or you're a bitch or you're a whore or whatever. They really take away their power.
Yeah.
By not giving them any respect at all, any kind of anything worthwhile. It's like they're not worthy of their attention anymore. Yeah. And I think that's kind of clever the way they do that because they make them. It's just another thing for the girls to have to contend with.
Do it, yeah.
And I don't think the Sarah actually still liking him storyline works. I think that's probably one of the weaker elements of this whole thing. But it does bring us to one of my favorite. I think one of the best moments of the movie. Yep. I think, which might have been reverse engineered because having Nancy Fruza Balk's character kill. Whatever his name
Skeet
is.
Ulrich. Let's call him Skeet.
Skeet.
Would you like it? Chris?
His character name. Chris. Okay. What a fucking generic. And they're so, it's great. I love that they give him like the most generic shit fucking name.
If your name is Chris and you're listening to this, we love you, Chris.
Yeah, that's fine. But for a movie like Trash Bag Guy, America,
the fact that
Chris,
their names
he might as well be Chad.
Matt, Chris, and Trey. There you go.
Trey. Trey's a good one.
Trey's a good one. If your name is Trey, rename
No one's named actually Trey. It's one of those names that movies made up, I reckon. And it just the only time Trey has existed is when someone's named.
It's like you don't know a Johnny either. Do you know a Johnny?
I don't know a Johnny.
No, of course you don't know a Johnny because Johnnies don't exist.
Yeah.
But going back, on Skeet or Chris. You were saying
the character Chris.
Chris. When so in this movie, and what I didn't realize until watching it again this time, which was nice because I literally haven't seen this since I was 16.
Sure.
So when it's kind of be careful what you wish for. Because it's going to come back to you. Because it's going to come back to you. Once the girls have cast their spells on their enemies, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they make it very clear that they don't understand the power that they're using,
exactly,
and that there's the rule of three thing, the threefold back at you kind of thing.
So this threefold for her to come back because Sarah, the character of Sarah, wishes. It's kind of vague what she wants. She just wants Chris to like her.
Yeah,
that's it.
His affection.
Yeah, affection or something.
Yeah.
And
it's not necessarily like a love spell,
but it turns into a love spell.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's a love spell. But what happens to the nth degree of that is he tries to rape her basically. Yeah. And I as a teenager, as Nick as a teenager, didn't realize that was the spell turning into to the nth degree.
I just thought that
he was trying to rape her. Sure. I just thought he was, an asshole.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that. So that was kind of.
Well, I think it's kind of a product of him being an asshole. Is that it's like how they talk about how when she goes to the magic lady at the end, and who is a very convenient character,
the good witch of the north,
the good witch of the north,
yeah,
and she says that Nancy is corrupted by the power, but not all people. You are good. You wouldn't be. It's the same thing. I think if you put it's they're trying to say like you put a love spell on a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably wouldn't have tried to rape her. It's because he's instinctively, inherently a jerk. Yeah. He's taken that. The spell has taken him to that position.
Level. Yeah.
But yeah, that was. But it takes a turn.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Really
and I think it's like that's a pretty. It's an effective element of the movie. I think the way that all their spells turn on themselves, I think it works pretty well.
It does, doesn't it? Mrs. Stiller. Do you like Mrs. Stiller? Kristen. What's her name? What's the girl that keeps harassing?
Oh, Christine.
Taylor.
Christine Taylor.
Yeah. I thought she was great.
Yeah,
she
look,
looked 30. But
yeah, she definitely.
she looked way
There
too
are a
old.
lot of wigs in this movie.
There are a lot of wigs.
A lot of wigs.
Yeah.
Robin Tunney, Sarah, is rocking a wig because she
is
came
because
off
of
Empire Records with the shaved
her
head.
Yep.
Christine Taylor is wearing a wig.
Yeah, she really is,
must.
isn't she?
She would have probably shaved her head to do the the scene where the hair was all coming out, and then they probably gave her a wig on top of that.
But that was a good scene. Like they
are effective scenes. She's such an awful human being.
Exactly. And when watching this, because of what she does to Rochelle, I was like, she deserves worse than that.
Yeah,
she deserves way worse.
Well,
than that.
there's not really. I mean, Chris gets his comeuppance, I guess.
He does. He dies.
But there's not a lot of consequence in this film.
No. And that's the thing. It kind of, from that, like, retrospectively watching it, I was like, I actually wouldn't mind to see this remade. Because you could take this sort of, you could push it a little more.
Well, this is
you
the
could
thing.
definitely
I think
push this movie a lot further with the themes that they're doing.
When I was watching the making of, they were talking about how
was it good?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not super in
was
depth.
It a feature? Was it a featurette?
It was a featurette.
One of those quick
DVD featurette, 20 something minutes. So
okay.
Yeah, had some weight to it. Okay. They were talking about how he made it specifically in the hopes of getting a PG-13 rating because he didn't want it to limit its audience.
Oh, okay.
Because he wants, you want teenage girls to be able to go see it because there is definitely an empowerment element to it. But apparently, according to the film classification thing, that anything that kind of exemplifies witchcraft for teenagers in this way,
it's a hard R.
Immediate R.
Yeah.
So the director even said, I wish I had known that before I made it because I would have chucked in F-bombs, violence, gore.
Exactly.
I would have made it worth the R rating.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we were going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
And you notice that it does feel
seriously.
Slightly neutered.
PG-ish. Yeah, you feel that. You do.
Yeah, there's the one obligatory F-bomb. Well, there might be two, maybe.
There's
But there's not really violence. Like, there's not really blood.
There's a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gory blood. It's them stabbing themselves to put their blood in the potion.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's
we
don't see Skeet hit the ground. We
no,
don't see.
That's true.
It's not gross
you
either.
Don't
There's
see
not really
any of the sex
so
scene.
this could be really kind of as a hard R. Could be kind of intense.
Yeah, that's the
really.
thing. So remake it. Imagine how good The Craft would be as a hard R movie.
Yeah, it could have a lot of. I mean, I don't like the idea of remakes necessarily,
I know.
unless you can really give me something that would better the film.
Exactly.
I don't know if that would necessarily better it. It would definitely make a different experience. Maybe just make a different movie. Maybe make a movie that is similar, and that is instead of having to remake it entirely.
That's true.
What?
Go with an original.
Just find a way to make an original idea.
Come on. They don't have it. Tys.
But yeah, and so look, what else, man?
Fruza Balk.
Fruza Balk is crazy.
Fruza Balk,
hey, how good was the do you like the bit when the homeless guy got run over?
Oh, that was a bit full on.
That was a great stunt.
You saw
man.
everything.
Was a very effective dummy or a very good stunt.
Yeah,
it was one or the other.
It was got to be a dummy. That you saw the tire hit his head.
Yeah, but it could maybe it's like a fake tire or something. If it's because it didn't look like a dummy. Like the physical movements on the ground didn't look like a dummy.
No.
So I don't know, man. That was super effective.
It was quite full on.
Yeah. What do you think of the CGI? Is a bit iffy in parts.
Yeah, and I wasn't a huge. I wanted to see because it's called The Craft. It's about witches. I want to see a lot more spells rather than light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah,
I wanted to see some spells. Do you know what
I mean? I think because they're trying to.
Because they're still new. They're still very fresh.
But they're more kind of. I think it's because they're trying to do a more realistic portrayal, realistic in air quotes, of Wiccan culture, I guess, more than anything like that.
That's true.
Where it's not about shooting laser beams out of your hands.
Exactly.
It's
not
more
Harry
about
Potter.
it's not Harry Potter. Harry Potter. It's not that.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard.
You're a wizard. Yeah, it's not that. So you didn't see that.
No.
No.
I liked some of the practical effects. I think they did some things cleverly. I liked the bugs.
That was
bugs
good.
and the snakes
Well, that was
it's all real.
It was all real.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many spiders were in that scene. I was like, whoa, that was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God, like that's fucked up, man. Like,
Yeah.
there are bits where, you know, she'd be walking around there and you'd have to be super careful not to touch anything because you'd be like, I just don't want any of this on me at all. And they did
I would
a lot
love
of...
it. I'd bring it on. I'd be one of those people that'd be like, yeah,
I'd be
bring
fine
that
with the
on to me.
snakes. Anything else I would
Bring that on.
really struggle with.
No, I just need to know where the massive spiders are.
Like, nowhere near me.
Small spiders, I'm fine. It's the bird-eating massive bastards that I'm like, I need you to either make that fake or to put it...
Yeah,
I need a
completely.
You know what I need? I need a Indiana Jones glass in front of, you know, the cobra scene when he drops into the pit of spiders, cobras.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones.
yeah.
Temple of
Yeah.
Raiders.
Is he behind glass?
Yeah, there's a glass in between him and the cobra. You didn't know that? You can see the glass.
I'll have to look again.
There you go. There's a reason for you to watch Raiders again.
Well,
Raiders
like I need a reason.
Raiders is the least one I watch, I feel.
Raiders is actually the least I watch, but I
Yeah.
think it's my favorite because I think
What?
No, actually, it's the best. My
It's the
favorite's
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, Raiders, and I'm not going to even mention Crystal Skull because...
But Raiders is the better movie. I
Is
think.
it?
I reckon it is.
Well, it was the first.
I think it's pretty excellent.
It was
but
the first.
Yeah, when I want to pick one of them, I tend to pick Last Crusade because it's just more fun.
Exactly.
It's just great. It's great time.
Sean Connery.
And he's good. That's good, Sean Connery.
I like Sean.
Really
Connery.
good, Sean Connery.
Yeah.
What do you reckon of the shopkeeper role?
The Good Witch of the North.
The Good Witch of the North.
I think she was.
Did you notice?
Oh, go on. That she was wearing white.
Well, look, they're not exactly hiding the fact that she's
the good part,
the good witch. And,
yeah, that's true.
But it's really funny because in their first scene, she basically tells Sarah everything she needs to know.
Yeah.
And
it's the warning. It's the what is it called? The harbinger at the start of Cabin in the Woods.
But it's funny how like it's actually even telling us the plot. Like the way
really?
because she basically says perhaps those three don't actually have inherent power.
It comes from you.
But I think from you it comes naturally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh well, maybe she should have just fucking listened to this lady. And everything would have been fine.
But she was in a new town. It was a new school. She had no friends. You know.
Yeah.
I did like that. I did like that it. One of the things I liked that it struck with me was for a teen movie, it was great because it dealt with peer pressure. And the reason that I feel that the craft worked was it took... Do you remember, Tyson, when you were a teenager and you couldn't drink, you couldn't smoke, you couldn't drive, you couldn't go anywhere without someone taking you or you taking the bus?
Sure.
And what this movie took from that was that it gave these girls freedom, the freedom to be able to do whatever they wanted to do.
Sure.
And that's what I think. That's what I think the craft did for me as a teenager. It gave me that element of freedom.
It made you really the way that they kind of just because they're not free.
No.
But the way that they could just kind of go to a shop or get on a bus and go into the forest or whatever, which was probably like me going to the botanical gardens. Like that's probably the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
And as much as it feels like, oh, we're going to find this cool secluded spot to do our witchcraft, there's probably like a family having a picnic, like
a couple of blocks away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I get what you're saying. It gives you that idea of like that. The way that freedom feels for a teenager is very different from what it feels like when you're 21 or 18 or whatever. It's a very different vibe where you finally move out of home.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden you're like,
huge.
I don't have to tell anyone where I'm going.
Exactly. I am going to eat fairy bread for dinner.
Fuck you. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's not a huge amount to talk about. There's a couple of things I really liked.
Yeah, go on.
That I want to pay special attention to. I really like the whole sequence on the beach. where they're doing the
yeah.
invocation. I think
Yeah.
it's probably one of the scenes
It was a
in the
strong
film.
scene, yeah. It was good.
It's
It
got
was
a nice
lot in the trailer. I remember that scene.
Yeah. It's got a really nice moment between Nancy and Sarah as well, where Sarah first talks about. Sarah's quite open about when she was wanting to kill herself,
she
how
is,
she used to
yeah.
see these bugs and snakes, and they used to kind of come at her, and you can tell it's not an easy thing for her to talk about.
Yeah.
And it cuts to Nancy, and her response is, "Well, you should respect snakes.
Yeah.
Serpents are mystical creatures," and that
Yeah.
was it. There was no kind of acknowledgement of the fact that she was trying to open up to her as a friend, and
Yeah.
you could really start to see her kind of corruption levels.
Exactly.
The way they were intensifying, which then leads, of course, into
The
doing the
scene
spell,
with the massive
where she
snakes
basically steals everyone else's power so that she can have the invocation for herself.
Yeah.
And then it comes back again in the end. She obviously did listen because she makes it
scares
part
the
of
shit of her with snake.
It's really interesting that their goal is to make her kill herself. I think that's a really
that was bizarre,
that's
wasn't
dark.
it?
It's
I thought
really,
that was really.
it takes it on a really kind of.
This is the thing, Tys. It was a gothic movie for the time, you know.
Yeah.
It was dealing with those elements because that's what, if you're going to take it. What period was the 90s? The 90s was grunge. It wasn't the 80s where everything was fun and we wanted everything and you know, all of that stuff. It was grunge, and maybe I don't want to have fun all the time. Maybe I don't feel like I want to party every day.
Yeah.
You know, I sometimes feel like shit.
We were in a
that's
position
okay.
where teens were kind of more comfortable with their angstiness.
Yeah.
And this would be seen
Celebrated angstiness, maybe?
Yeah, but, you know, to a fault.
To a fault,
probably,
yeah,
I think, more than anything else. I mean, we want kids to be able to talk about what they're feeling and be open about that kind of stuff, of course. But I think it was kind of glorified as being cool in the mid-90s. It was like, oh, man, you're so edgy. You tried to kill yourself.
I live under a bridge.
Yeah. It's like, and that's probably dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think in this movie, it presents it in a good way.
Yeah.
I think that it's about the strength to overcome that. You know, that it is about, you know, finding your own strength to get past those feelings.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You know, but it's also used effectively because it was believable at the time, like where it was logical that yes, a troubled girl would kill herself in a room full of candles, and you know, it would be like a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
it would be a beautiful way to go rather than.
Have you seen Rules of Attraction?
I have seen that.
Yeah,
yes.
so the suicide scene in that,
scene.
the way it's painted as like she's having this, you know, it's this kind of beautiful moment for her, where she can finally be open and free, and then she kills herself. But really, everyone just kind of
awful. And
as James Van Der Beek's character just kind of blinks and just goes, okay, whatever, and it had no effect on him whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that final sequence is super effective. I think that whole chunk. There's a really weird bit where they float in the air, and it's so clearly that they're on harnesses because they do that weird thing where their back goes up first, and their shoulders are kind of pointed forward. I'm like, it's fine. Like, we need to use, you know, it's a practical effect. We use harnesses.
Exactly.
It's strange though for me because I think. Because they're clearly having to CGI out elements of it anyway, because you can see that they're CGI'd and they've got the little black bars because it's been like whatever fixed in post.
Yep.
Then if you're going to do it anyway, find a way that you don't have to manipulate them physically to do it. Maybe put them on like green hydraulics or something so that they can still be themselves, because it just looks so much like oh,
just
here's the harness. And that's that's the point.
And because it's in unison, that's the reason that you're like, oh, really?
Which is really the only bad. I mean, you know, the snakes' hands things, like, you know,
that was
they
of
look
the
CGI,
time.
but
That was
they
of
look
the
great.
time
You
for
know,
the 90s.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it would have been awesome. For
I'd
that
say
time.
generally it's all pretty effective, except the wig. When she turns her hair blonde.
It's just weird. It just looks weird.
Well, it's what they do. It would be fine if because apparently they used a green wig for it,
right?
And so they coloured it brown, and then as she ran her hand over it, she coloured it blonde,
right?
But what happens is they cut away from that and then cut back to it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
When you cut back, she should just have a blonde wig on.
Yeah.
It shouldn't still
It
be
should
the
still be
CGI
the
colorized blonde wig.
Which is what it is.
Because then we just get those moments of it when she runs her hand over it. And then
Yeah.
we get the one at the end where she shakes it out. The ones in between should just be a blonde wig. Because then we wouldn't see that.
Exactly.
And so that I always found that really weird.
Poor Robin Tinney, had bad wigs. She's just horrible.
They are bad wigs.
They're bad wigs.
Yeah, they're Kate Mara Fantastic Four level bad wigs.
Oh, they're you know what they are? They're Mary Jane in the very first Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst wig.
Oh,
bright fucking red.
Yes, was that not? Yeah,
no. And then they realized because the movie did so well, they're like, how about we just dye your hair?
Do you know what Robin Tunney is good at?
Yes,
awkward running.
Oh fucking hell!
She's up there.
That was the worst running.
I think it because we've talked about this before.
We have. I've talked about it with Neve because Neve is a bad runner.
So I want to have.
Go on.
I want to put together a montage. I think whenever we talked about people who are bad runners, I think
have to write this down.
I think we should start writing it down.
All right.
That was great. She's holding her bag out to the side,
but her arms.
She's got her jacket kind of half off one shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's just this weird little shake on either side.
I pointed it out to my wife. So normally when you run with your arms like this.
Put the bag over your shoulder or something.
But her arms, she's stopped her elbows next to her body, lifted up her arms and run like that. I'm like,
I
what
love
are you
that
doing?
She's because it cuts from outside the shop to her house, so she's run the whole way like that.
Seriously,
it's awkward
so
running
awful.
Winner. Robin Tunney.
We're
gonna keep a running tally. Running tally. It works. I like it.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, that's when we find awkward runners that we want to
show
just
you
highlight
on YouTube.
for everybody and make sure that everyone doesn't miss the hilarity of awkward runners.
Hopefully, someone has already made a montage of this on YouTube, and we can just play it.
That's it. That'd be amazing. Yeah, what else?
Do you know who won't be in the running bad montage? Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise will not be.
He will not be.
Because he's
damn
good runner. This is all leading into that final sequence, which I think is kind of good. I think it's it's all really great the way they handle everything, including I really like the little moment with her mum's photo.
That did a Harry Potter.
Did a Harry Potter and came and told her to find her strength. I think that was cool.
It was nice.
I like, it's clearly doing the metaphor of overcoming,
anything,
a death of a parent.
Oh yeah, for that one, yeah.
Because obviously, it's not something I've dealt with. I have friends who have dealt with it, but
it'd be a big deal. No
matter
what age you are, to be honest.
And knowing that. Never knowing your mother, that kind of level.
That's right, because she died.
She died in childbirth, which is amazing. Even the dialogue in this film, they really don't pull their punches, man. That the way Fairuza Balk's character even says the thing about you killed your mother while coming out of her, that
would have been harsh.
What does she say? That takes that takes the cake or something.
Yeah.
How fucked is that, or how messed up is that? And I'm like.
Calm down.
This
Jesus.
dialogue is really they're really going for it.
But it has little bits of that. But as far as the reason that it doesn't work for me is it's just wispy thin. It has those points, yes, but it doesn't stay the consistency of those lines. It doesn't stay like that. For me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and if you were to say because. Robin Tunney's character, Sarah, there's not a lot to her. There's a little bit... Actually, no. Let me rephrase. There's a little bit to her, but they don't flush it out.
There's a lot to her that I don't think gets explored as much as it should. I'd like to know... I think... I'd like to know more about her, suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
I think knowing where they came from, because if it's just...
It couldn't have just...
it's just that she doesn't have a mother and that she's discovering that she has witchcraft powers.
Exactly.
I don't think,
Maybe it was because her powers were coming in. Maybe she doesn't know about them.
Yeah, I think
there's
definitely something there, and there's definitely something they could have played with a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because when the movie starts and you kind of get the vibe that her mum has died recently.
Yeah,
because she's playing like this kind of
because it's the first thing she gets out when she moves.
Like she's almost mourning
the picture.
Still,
yeah.
Where and then it's like, well, she tried to kill herself, but then it's you don't really get the meat of what brought that on, and so you kind of her intentions become a bit mixed, muddled in that first couple of scenes.
Yeah.
I think she has a reasonably strong arc, though. I think she kind of
It's not too bad,
she comes into herself in the end, and
I think Fairuza Balk's arc is better.
Yeah,
it's more interesting.
Hers is more interesting because it's the corruption of power, which is always the more interesting storytelling element.
But as far as Nev Campbell and Rachel True,
I was going to say that they really kind of
very thin.
It's super thin. There's this quite superficial their arc in a sense. And they don't, unfortunately, we don't want them to have to suffer massive consequences because really they were never really the antagonists.
Exactly.
Of the story.
They were going
never
along.
really
They were just
going along for the ride.
So.
The only time really where you kind of think, hey, that's a bit harsh, girls, is when they corner Sarah in the bathroom. When it's clear that Sarah's on the outs.
Yeah.
Because apart from that, I mean, it's Rachel True's character who takes Sarah in
after Skeet Ulrich.
After Skeet Ulrich tries to rape her, and they've already been on kind of rough edges there. But it's like she understands that as soon as something like that happens, you look after your friends.
Yeah.
So I understand that,
and the group kind of comes together after that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that they don't want to kill the two of them or send them to a crazy house like they did because they aren't really evil characters.
Yeah.
But it kind of stinks a bit that they don't receive any kind of consequence for that.
I know, at least something a bit more.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we meant to assume that Nev Campbell gets her scars back or not?
No, I think it was
she's dressed at the end. Quite.
That's true. She's fully clothed,
covered.
Isn't she?
Like all her sleeves are covered.
No, because she covered her neck.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, because the scars went up her neck as well.
Sure.
So I think that
that was kind of in my head. I was like, oh, maybe their spells wore off. So maybe. But see, it's funny because Rachel True's character, she's still going to be a really good diver. She just did something to somebody else.
Doesn't that say?
Yeah.
It says a bit about.
Whereas Nev Campbell might have to fucking deal with those scars forever again now.
Exactly.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
The one last thing I want to mention
before
we go on, I do like lots of this film because I'm going to say another part I really liked.
Yeah.
Was we only talked about it briefly before, but I wanted to kind of stay on it a bit longer. Was the scene where Skeet Ulrich is killed.
Right.
It's my favourite part of Fairuza Balk's character, I think.
Oh, okay.
The way she responds in that scene.
Not sorry. Yeah.
That's a bit much. It's the 20 or so seconds before it goes all the way, which I really love. And I also really like the framing device of it.
Yeah.
Where they put her dead center of the frame.
Yeah.
And kind of angle it a little bit. And she's so that we get almost like a fisheye, but not, just the tiniest feel of it. And she's staring dead at the lens.
Yeah.
And I was thinking in my head, it was like, I imagine that's what a Wes Anderson horror movie would look like.
Yeah.
Have like a crazy witch person
staring into the camera.
Because the frame is perfectly centered and everything, and she's just dead into the camera.
Yeah.
And it was super off-putting.
Effective. Yeah, it was good.
I really liked it. And then the bit with her feet sliding on the ground.
Yeah, in a witch boots.
The whole lead up to that as well I thought was really good because there was that one moment where she was just kind of letting herself go a little bit, letting herself feel something.
Yep.
And then when he basically said, "No, you're crazy," and you could see that it was the last moment of
it ticked over.
It was definitely a last little bit of any kind of care or hope that she might not go full bonkers.
Yeah.
Lost it at that moment. I think she showed it really well.
I did love her in that. Like I've said, the last scene of her in the mental institution, I think she plays that really, really well. You believe that Fairuza Balk should stay in a mental institution.
Yeah, and
do you know what I mean?
It made me think that I'm if you ever wanted to, if you were ever going to remake Exorcist,
Oh,
back
okay.
in those days,
Back in those
she would have
days.
been like a prime candidate for it. If you wanted to
Right.
do it, because I mean, when was Return to Oz? Like 82,
I think maybe it's 84.
maybe a bit later than that.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do an Exorcist remake or even a sequel around 1990
Yeah.
or 1988, she would have been
She would have been
prime.
gold. Exactly.
Because she does that crazy. Just
turns it on.
something in her eyes, man. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a bit scary.
she is bonkers in real life.
85.
85.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that's The Craft, man.
The Craft.
Oh, so much fun watching that movie again. I was
1996.
so happy to be watching it again.
Yeah.
It felt really
You
comfortable.
were so excited, Tys. You
Yeah.
were so excited to watch
and
it.
I held up. I hope we've done it justice. I don't feel we have.
I
'Cause
think I've tried my best, Tys.
it's all right.
It's a
I've
bit
tried.
thin.
And I had such a good time watching it. It was so good to go back to something like that. So
Yeah.
I definitely recommend giving it a watch.
Sure.
Thumbs up, would watch again. Thumbs down, won't watch
Look,
again.
I'm not going to watch it again, only because it
no.
sits at a part of my life where, you know, it was... It embodied that moment
Sure.
of my life of being a
100%.
teenager there. And like I said, I watched it that many times that I don't need to see it again.
No, fair enough. Look,
Yeah.
I'll never need to watch this movie again in my life.
But you will.
But I can
But you're
guarantee
a
I'm
huge
going to
fan.
watch it.
Like you said, you've got the soundtrack. To be honest, I want to listen to the soundtrack.
soundtrack.
That's what I want to listen
Yeah,
to.
it's funny how just
I want
certain
to hear.
movies
I want to
just
hear
work.
Love, Spit, Love.
Love, spit, love. God, I mean, what are they trying to... That's a gross name.
Let's not think about it too much because that's foul.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the craft.
Craft. All right, well, we're going to move on to our next segment. Crossing the streams.
I like that.
Crossing the streams.
Exactly. It needs to be hair metal.
Yeah.
Crossing
Okay.
the streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie James Dio style.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally James there.
I like it. All right, what's your
You want to go first?
streamer?
Yeah, I can cross
Streamer?
the stream. I
You
can totally
can
cross the stream.
streams.
Okay. My crossing the streams this week is from Stan. Stan.
Good old Stan.
Good old Stan. It is a documentary.
Oh,
Yes.
how
And-
fancy.
I know, right? My crossing the streams is called Blackfish.
Yeah, I never watched that.
No.
I heard I should.
Quite good. Very, very good. As far as definitely an eye opener and as a well put together documentary, to be honest.
Sure.
It unfortunately doesn't have, I feel a good documentary should always have both sides. It doesn't have one side of the argument. So the if you don't know
Sure.
what Blackfish is about, it's about an orca that was caught in the 70s and was shipped to SeaWorld
Mm-hmm.
in, I think it's Miami, and just the animal cruelty that happens to this poor animal.
Well, this was quite a big deal. This
This
documentary,
was-
it kind of
exactly, it kind of
got SeaWorld in a lot of trouble.
Exactly, and now they don't have a lot of things. They don't have. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure breeding in. Oh no, that can't be right. They've done a lot.
It's done a lot of good things.
It's done a lot of good
for-
things for
Animals
animal
in captivity.
captivity. But one of the reasons why I am telling people to watch Blackfish is because just because you don't want to watch what happens to this poor creature doesn't mean that it's not happening. You turning a blind eye to something that's happening in the world doesn't mean that, you know, it's not happening. Rather be knowledgeable about what's
I would
going
say
on.
I'm guilty of that
You
to
are?
a certain degree. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like, I know it's not easy to watch what happens to innocent creatures that don't have a say in what's going on, but this, you know,
I suppose you've got to be in a certain kind of headspace
you do
for a movie like
For
that.
a movie
I don't
like
often
that,
find
yeah.
myself in that headspace,
That's
unfortunately.
the thing.
Like,
That's the thing, and it's
I don't seek out a movie
that's going to fuck you up.
It's going to make me feel
Yeah.
bad. Movies are my escape
But that's the thing,
from
you know.
just
It's
feeling bad. Generally.
yeah. I know. They are, and that's the thing. Movies.
No, that's not
can be
not
our-
true. I do
Can be our escapism.
No,
and that's
I
great.
do watch documentaries about fucked up things and
Yeah.
terrible things because it is interesting to learn about them.
Exactly.
But it does take a certain.
You need to
be in a certain frame of mind.
You just need
and
to be brave,
yeah.
and you need to pull the pin.
Yeah.
You know, and this is definitely one to do that on because, you know, Blackfish is just a great.
And has it
documentary.
changed the way you feel about
Yeah.
Like
My
zoos
kids
in
will
general and things like that.
Well,
So I know a few people who are very anti like the zoo and
that's true. Yeah,
things
they
like
don't go to the zoo, and they'd rather see go to maybe a Hillsville Sanctuary, which is a preserve or something like that. Yeah. In this, because I have. My parents took me to SeaWorld when I was 16 in Queensland, and the first thing I did when I looked up when I saw this movie was look at SeaWorld in Queensland and have a look at whether they do have orcas.
Okay.
And they do have dolphins, which is also, it's cruelty keeping these animals. But I will never take my children to a SeaWorld ever because of this film.
Okay,
It's just not non-question. If I would rather them see, imagine how beautiful it would be to see an orca in a pod, which is what they're called when they're a group. It's a pod of orcas.
Sure.
In the wild. That's much better to see them like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And even if you don't see them, sure, you went to see orcas.
If I don't see a live whale in my life, I don't think
you'll be fine.
I think
exactly.
I'm going to be fine.
Watch a David Attenborough. You'll be fine.
And if it so happens that I stumble across one while I'm on my yacht,
exactly. While we're drinking
champagne,
celebrating the 10th
fame
anniversary of Nick Tys and Videotape.
Yes. On the third yacht that I have purchased with our Nick Tys and Videotape moolah.
Yep.
If so happen I stumble across one in my life, then it would be a magical moment.
And
but I think I'm okay. Yeah.
That's because I remember seeing when I went as a teenager to SeaWorld and seeing the dolphins and going, oh yeah, a dolphin.
Yeah.
Rather than seeing them in the wild where you're in the same water that they're in.
Sure. And
going, oh my God, look at that. That's amazing.
I've been to the zoo and the aquarium a lot, and I've done my girlfriend, we like to do kind of the behind the scenes stuff with them. And I always found it quite refreshing refreshing is not the quite word. Relaxing, I guess, to know that we do have incredibly high standards here
in Australia.
In Australia, as how we look after animals, we're really all about trying to ensure the survival of these animals. There's nothing about it that seems exploitive, and I'm sure. Look, I'm sure people could tell me otherwise, but I feel like we're lucky enough that we don't have that same kind of consumer-driven attitude to
that America
animals
does. Exactly
that America has, where it's like essentially what Jurassic World was kind of all about.
That's true.
That whole ability of we need it bigger, we need it newer, we need it more impressive than the last thing.
Yeah, and we need to milk this thing from as
whereas
much
for us here,
it's
kind of like when we go to the zoo, some of the things that I like looking at the most are the small. Secluded animals, where it's like
the butterfly enclosure, man.
Well, it's beautiful, and the things that we're doing to make their life better, I think, are the ones that I like the most. So that's kind of that's kind of cool, I guess, that we don't have that. But having said that, I should watch that movie because
please, everyone,
I need to educate myself.
I know. Please be brave and watch Blackfish and make it open your eyes a bit. Have an opinion on what's happening.
Sure, and that's always good to do. I think there are definitely documentaries out there that do give us the opportunity just to educate ourselves about certain things.
And the reason that the flip side of this not being the most perfect documentary is SeaWorld doesn't say anything. Sure. They don't get SeaWorld's side of it.
Yeah.
And which would have made for a much, much better docu.
Well, look, it's hard. I guess it's hard when you are the creative force behind a documentary where you want to tell a certain element of it. I understand that in certain regards, maybe documentaries should be completely non-biased.
Absolutely.
But
well,
but at the same time, this is still a creative expression of a filmmaker, so they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want.
Absolutely.
And so, it's a bigger discussion. But what are we expecting of our documentarians? Are we expecting the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Or are we expecting a story about a factual thing told through their eyes.
That's true.
And I think that's where we get to this grey area where it's like it's not the BBC documentary about this whale.
No,
it is a feature documentary made by a person about it. So there is going to be elements of bias. There is going to be creative license taken and things like that. Yeah, it's a discussion for another day. Yeah, because it's a big one.
It was good. It was really good.
But it's effective, though.
It was really good. The reason that the filmmaker made...
I've heard that it's like... there's a scene that kind of really...
Oh, yeah. It's
fucks you up.
It's full on. Well, no, not just a scene. It's going through what... From the 70s, man.
Sure.
The 70s
when there was just like... you could do whatever the fuck you wanted.
You could... This was before, that no animals were hurt in the making of this film.
Yeah,
it was way before that.
Sure.
They offed 11 cats in Milo and Otis, to get that waterfall scene. How awful is that?
I have read countering arguments to the Milo and Otis thing as well.
Oh, okay.
The
reason that the filmmaker wanted to make Blackfish was because a trainer, because he had a few trainers. This one orca who was the male orca Tilikum, and he got to a point where he couldn't take it anymore and didn't want to, but he
attacked somebody.
Attacked them, yes, and drowned her and ate part of her and things like that, and that was sparked off the ex-trainers of Telecom to come forward with their stories of what happened. Sure, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, great. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go... That's a good one, man. No, it's a better one than my choice.
Yeah, well, mine was deep.
Because yours actually has, like a functional role in society.
Oh, come on.
I'm recommending a film that's on Netflix, and it's not even a great film, but I want to recommend it because I think it has some extremely good moments in it.
Awesome.
It's a film called Mr. Brooks. It is on Netflix.
Kevin Costner.
This is a Kevin Costner thriller. This is during Kevin Costner's kind of...
Comeback? Would you say a comeback?
It's not really a comeback, but it's, Kevin Costner he's had an interesting career. He's had ups. He's had his real big ups.
Bodyguard,
he's had his
man.
Dances with Wolves, Bodyguard period.
I love Bodyguard.
He's had his downs where he was doing nothing, like he was doing some really off stuff.
That's true.
But then he's had what I think is his most interesting period, which was since around about the upside of anger. So it would have been like 2006-ish, 2007-ish.
Okay.
Where he was making interesting, different films because he wasn't able to be like the leading man in the huge blockbusters.
That's true, yeah.
Waterworld pretty much
sank him.
Convinced everyone that he was not. That's not his role.
Yeah.
So now he's... Waterworld sunk him. Do we want to go back and just get on that one?
I laughed at it. I was there. Waterworld sunk him. This is a man that was in JFK, Tyson.
Yeah.
JFK.
Possibly my favourite movie of all time.
Yeah.
Definitely in the discussion of it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Kevin Costner fan, but I thoroughly enjoy this period, that this kind of weird renaissance he's had, where he's doing, I think, really kind of interesting roles, if not particularly showy, if not spectacular.
Yeah.
And that's where this movie kind of fits right in.
Cool.
It's a thriller made in 2007
Yep.
where he plays a serial killer called Mr. Brooks, who is living a double life as a family man.
Ooh.
Now, it's a mental kind of condition that he has where he lives with his family and is quite a loving father, and that is Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
But then when he has the urge to kill, he has another part of him come to existence and just kind of manifest out of nowhere. And he is played by William Hurt.
Oh, wow.
The great William Hurt.
The great William Hurt.
So he will have these conversations with what is essentially his evil conscience.
Right.
Played by William Hurt.
Right.
And they are really great.
So it's a split personality, but his split personality is another actor.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
And no one else, obviously, in the movie sees William Hurt.
Yep.
No one else. It's never one of those things where someone sees him interacting with someone that's not there and is like, oh, something's off.
Yeah.
Like it's kept really kind of like they are just having these moments between the two of them.
Yeah.
And they are wonderful. The moments between the two of them, they are great. They are, William Hurt is an incredibly natural and capable actor. I love the sound of his voice.
Yeah,
it is beautiful.
He needs to narrate things.
He in this has this really kind of calming menace.
Yeah.
Did you see History of Violence?
I did see History of Violence.
So it's like the character he plays at the end of that, who comes out just for the last 15 minutes, minus the weird accent.
Sure.
The weird Bronx accent that he puts on for that.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of weirdly you are captivated by him, but he scares the shit out of you kind of vibe. And they play off each other really, really well. The movie is let down by kind of typical thriller storylines. There's the cop who's out to chase him, who is played by Demi Moore.
Oh,
yeah,
go
random,
Demi Moore.
Very, very bizarre to
go
have
random
her there.
Demi Moore.
And there is a little accomplice. That wants to know the art of serial killing, who finds out that Kevin Costner is a serial killer.
Oh, and that is
played by Dane Cook.
Oh, I'm out.
The world's most lovable stand-up comic
out.
Yeah. And he is okay. He's bearable in this.
He's okay. Is he not in it for a lot of it?
He's not in it for a lot of it, and he's not being Dane Cook. Oh, okay. He's actually trying to do something. And I knew Dane Cook as an actor before I knew him as a stand-up.
Yep.
And I don't hate Dane Cook as much as
the world
does. I think
he's just got one of those faces.
He's got one of those faces, yeah.
He really
and
does.
He's not in this a whole bunch, but he plays a part to the story.
Sure.
There are some. It's twisted. It goes in directions you don't think it's going to go. And it's got a hell of an ending, so it's worth watching. I think for those.
It's been on my wife's radar for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember why I saw it. I will almost watch anything with Kevin Costner in it. I think.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of him. Wow. I've been for a long time. I think he's underrated because
I think he is too. I think
he gets the rap for being a bad actor, and I don't think he is at all. I just think he has a very, it's not wooden. The way he interprets characters is to be quite rigid with them, and so it comes across as a wooden performance that he doesn't have a natural. But it's a different acting style. It's a very some people are naturally charismatic. Some people have a real kind of just feel like normal people behind a camera. Yeah. That's never been Costner for me. He feels like someone who lets the character inhabit him in different ways. Okay. And I think he can be bad, but I feel like he's quite a good actor, and I think he kind of gets a bit of a rough rap for not being a very good actor.
Looking at his body of work, there are a lot in here that I like. Have you seen 13 Days, where he plays the bodyguard to Jeff? Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
Yeah, he's a political advisor for JFK, during the Cuban
missile crisis.
I only watched that recently because I'd been wanting to watch it for years, but I heard it was pretty dry, and I watched it and was like, "This is great. Yeah, this was really enjoyable.
It's a really good movie. Yeah. But Untouchables.
Untouchables is up there as one of my favorite. It's possibly my favorite De Palma. I think.
Oh, okay.
It's his most commercial. I like his crazy De Palma-ness, but this one, this is to me, it's just him doing a fucking great crime movie.
Yeah. But Kevin Costner was actually the only bit that I liked of Man of Steel.
And I'll put that with you as well. I think he does a very good
Jonathan Kent.
I thought he was great.
He did really well.
His little monologue
really did well.
With about, sometimes you might have to let people die and all this kind of stuff was really kind of, it was tough stuff, man. He was really,
it was good.
But he sold it. He really sold it.
He really did, didn't he?
So there you go. Mr. Brooks, if you want to see some good Kevin Costner,
which is on
batting it off, that doesn't sound right.
Oh, Tys, you're doing well, aren't you?
That's not right at all. Facing off against William Hurt as his crazy alter ego convincing him to kill people.
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks, that is on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, man. Well, so
Right.
that's it for today. Hey, Nick, why don't you do some shopkeeping, storekeeping for us, storefronting, and tell people where they can find us.
Well, at Nick Tyson Videotape, you can find us where all good podcasts are sold. Sorry, it's just
exactly
where it was
right.
going.
Yeah, whatever
just
you
where it
listen to
going.
podcasts on,
Stitcher,
you can find us.
TuneIn Radio. iTunes is a good one because iTunes you can rate and review us.
iTunes is the main one.
which helps
which we
us
know
plenty.
does
It
help
really
us plenty.
does. It really does.
You
can follow us on Twitter because
can.
we tweet things.
We do.
At Nick Tice Videotape. There's no "and" in that one. And you can write us an email if you have questions, thoughts, if there's something that we do that you don't like, if there's something that you do that we do like.
Yeah. If you want us to talk about something in particular, perhaps a movie that you would like to hear our unique perspective on.
Exactly. Which is bizarre.
Well, I don't know why.
I don't know why you would like that, but hey, we'll talk it to death.
Sure.
Email us. The point is, you can email us at nickticeandvideotape@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And the last one is on the good old Facebook.
On the Facies.
Find us on Facey and like us and subscribe us
And we're,
and all that stuff.
Yeah, we post fun things on the Facebook page.
We do. We
try
give
to
you
keep
we like to give you a coming soon
yes.
and things like that. But
yes.
yeah.
And also, if you are so inclined, you can catch us on YouTube.
You can. We are on YouTube.
There'll be more episodes very shortly. At the moment, there is still just the first episode. I'm
That's
having
true.
a little bit of technical difficulties.
We are.
But by the time this episode airs, there will at least be 2 episodes, I would
There you
hope.
go.
So you can get on, subscribe, and if that's the way you listen to your podcasts, by all means, go for it. We're also going to have some cool content on there when we start some of our other segments, when we start doing some visual elements.
Yes.
We will be putting them, of course, on YouTube because how else would we be doing that?
Exactly.
So you don't want to miss out on those because they will be really fun.
That will be really fun.
And you'll get to see what we look like. I mean, most of you that listen to
I
us
know.
probably already know what we look like.
That's true.
But if you happen to not know,
But if you're wondering whether, we look weird
or are we
whether...
like big fat nerds? Because sometimes that's
True,
that's
it
the
happens.
perceived opinion
Yeah.
of people that like to talk about movies.
Which one
Especially
has
Superman
which?
movies.
Does Nick have facial hair or does Tice has facial hair?
Does Nick wear glasses or does Tys wear glasses?
Ah, very good. Very
Oh,
good.
and how many tattoos do we have?
Oh,
That's gonna
that's
be
a good
fun.
one. Do we? No, I've got nothing.
Who's rocking a sweet fade at the moment? That's what you also got to find.
That's right. A sweet fade. I love it.
Hey, and we've also got some really exciting news because next week, Nick,
Oh,
we are bringing our first guest
first ever
into
guest.
the Nick Tyson Videotape cave.
Yeah. Cave.
I don't know.
Tyson, stop doing this.
But we're super excited. We're going to be
We're
joined
having our
by
first guest.
a good friend of ours. Good friend of mine. Nikki, it will be pleasured to meet her.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Jemima Bucknell, who is one of the smartest people I know when it comes to movies. She
Nice.
rocks it, and she has a very unique take and insight that I'm super excited to be able to share with you all.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a movie that I did not expect to be talking about when I invited Jemima on the show.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Rush Hour,
Rush Hour.
the Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker buddy cop classic.
Which was directed by
Brett Ratner?
Brett Ratner. We're doing a Brett Ratner movie.
Actually doing a Brett Ratner movie.
Oh, all right.
So that's going to be exciting. So
see how this goes.
crack out your old DVDs of Rush Hour and
Yeah.
give it a watch, and then tune in next week with our special guest,
Jemima.
We can't wait to see you all then, guys.
It's going to be there. Rad.
It's going to be super rad.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.